Hello, everyone. So recently, the Lord has revealed something to me, how the enemy has been very sneaky in my life and how he's been deceiving me. And it has been quite the revelation that the Lord has just set me free from. And it quite honestly will change and has already begun to change the way that I interact with people, and it changes all of my personal relationships that I have. Um, so the Lord has really been pressing it on my heart to not only just reveal this and share this to like my close friends and family, but to come on here and to just boldly share my testimony and share the new freedom that the Lord has given me. Um, and I really do believe that this will help people. So I just pray that the Lord brings the right people to hear and receive and just listen to my testimony and what the Lord has revealed to me. Um, so, yeah. And for those of you who don't know me, I will introduce myself very shortly. If you do know me, yeah, just stay tuned. So, I want to take you guys back to when I was a little girl. Growing up, I have always been involved in creativity in the arts. Like, I've always loved expressing myself creatively. When I was a little girl, I actually wanted to be a fashion designer, and I remember in my kindergarten class, like, I put fashion designer as what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I was always drawing and sketching and was just thriving in my environment, and I loved it so much. And when I went to middle school, that just ramped up even more. I was involved in advanced drawing, photography, dance. I was painting murals on my middle school wall, like all of the fun stuff I was doing, and I was thriving and I loved it so much. And so when I went off to school, that really was just like an extension of who I already was. Like, going off into college, I mean. So in high school, I was taking just, advanced art classes and still involved in a lot of creative things. In college is where things really just like erupted into something. So I was a fashion major, was a fashion merchandising major. So true to my roots of being a 5-year-old little girl and wanting to be a fashion designer, and now I'm majoring in fashion merchandising. Always loved just dressing and styling, but I also was really involved in a lot of my school's like arts programs and fashion magazines, and I had the opportunity to go off to New York Fashion Week as a fashion student. And the very first time that I went off to New York, one, I fell in love with the city, and I also fell in love with the whole New York Fashion Week scene. And I realized that I didn't just want to be a creative involved in fashion, but I wanted to be a model. So that began my modeling journey. I came back to my hometown, or not my hometown, the town that I was living in for school, and they were having their local fashion week, and it included designers from Australia that came by. And lo and behold, I was backstage and I was chatting with some of the Australian designers, and they actually were looking for models to shoot some of their clothing brand around the city. And so they asked me if I was a model, and I told them no, but that I wanted to get involved. And they were like, okay, well, let's shoot, like, let's do it. And so that opportunity opened a door of opportunities at the time, or what I thought was a door of opportunities. So my first agency, I signed to an Australian agency. And then throughout the years, I was signed to several different agencies, kind of on and off. But modeling was something that I truly idolized. I idolized modeling. I wanted to be like America's Next Top Model so bad. And every single time I would get so close to, I guess, making it big or having modeling become my truly full time career where I could just leave school and whatever, it seemed like the door would just shut. And I never understood why, because I had so many friends who were already doing what I wanted to do. I knew industry contacts. I fit the part that agencies were looking for at the time. And so I just wasn't really understanding, but to see it now with fresh eyes, I really do believe that it was the Lord just protecting me, because that's not the realm that He wanted me to go into. And so basically, with that being said, when I was in college, when I was modeling, when I was involved in the arts, that is when the enemy sneakily started attacking me. And I didn't realize this until nearly 5+ years later, until the Lord just revealed that to me. And so back to when I was in middle school, that is when Instagram was first coming out, and it was the new it thing, and Facebook was literally just for like the parents now. So everyone was using Instagram, and I remember in middle school I was making an Instagram account, and my first Instagram name was something really cheesy, like I think it was Cleopatra or something like that. But then I wanted to just have something different, like with my name. And I remember sitting with my friend, and she's helping me come up with the name, and she takes my phone and she's like, okay, hold on. And I'm like, okay. And she asks me, hey, what's your middle name? And I tell her that my middle name is Marie. And so from there, she hands me my phone and she says, okay, your Instagram name is Infinity Marie. And I was like, that's it. Like, that is literally it. That was the most perfect name ever. Still to this day, I have Infinity Marie on everything. And even when I make new profiles of something, Infinity Marie is always there. So it just felt perfect. Like, I loved Infinity Marie. I thought it was the cutest thing ever. And so fast forward to when I began modeling in college. So not only am I like signed with agencies, but I'm also like freelancing, and I was involved in a lot of creative things around the city and in my school. And so a lot of people were reaching out to me via Instagram and wanting to connect and contact with me. And a lot of people did not realize that my first name was Megan. And a lot of them were calling me Marie because they saw Infinity Marie. And I did have Megan in my Instagram bio, but a lot of people didn't realize that, or maybe they did and they just thought Marie was just what I preferred to be called, but that is what they were calling me. And eventually I sat with it, and I had like this bright idea that maybe going by Marie would be better, because I idolized being a model, and I had this whole idea and like image of who I wanted to be, and Marie really fit the part of that, and I in college, and then even going off to like castings and things like that, like the Megans were everywhere. There was always somebody named Megan, sometimes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I was like, you know what, like, this isn't original. Marie is better. And not that Marie is an original name at all, like, it's not. There are a lot of Maries, but I think for the States particularly, especially where I was at, I think Marie was just more of a common middle name. So not many people were being called Marie, and I found that I typically was the only Marie when I walked into spaces and rooms, and I like that. So I remember telling my agents this at the time, that, hey, I just want to be referred to as Marie in all of my shoots and all of my modeling stuff. Like, I just wanted to be referred to as Marie. And from then on, I was Marie in the modeling world. But what I didn't realize is that that would bleed into my personal life very quickly and eventually saturate it. So these connections that I were making in the modeling industry, they weren't just work-related connections. I mean, of course it was for work, but I mean, some of these people, like, I knew some of their friends, or we would connect. And so before I knew it, I looked around and everyone was calling me Marie. And the only people who were calling me Megan were my childhood friends and my family. And by this time, I wasn't even living in my hometown, and my family, they were all over, including my hometown. So I kind of reached a fork in the road where I was like, well, I don't want to go by two names. And half of the people are calling me Megan, half of the people are calling me Marie, and I ended up just choosing Marie. I said, you know what? Like, I already had this idolized ideal version of myself, of this model, like whatever. And so I thought, Marie sounds good. Like, I'm just gonna fully go by Marie, not just for modeling, but in my personal life too. I'm gonna start going by Marie. And so that is what I did. And when I moved back to my hometown, any job that I had as well, I would always put my preferred name, and I would tell them, no, like, you don't have to call me Megan. Please call me Marie. This is my middle name. This is what I prefer to go by. And so this has been going on for many years, many years, and I was okay with it. Like I said, it's my middle name, so I thought nothing of it. But what the Lord revealed to me is how that was a direct attack from the enemy, and how he was using something so subtle as changing my name to get me to be out of will for what God has for me. And mind you, at that time, I really wasn't walking with the Lord. At that time, I wasn't saved. And so I wasn't even thinking about the Lord. I don't even think at that point I really thought that God existed. So for me, I wasn't thinking like, oh, what does the Lord think about this? And what is his will for me? I was just thinking about me. What do I want? What's best for me? What do I think of myself? Where do I want to see? All of the things that the world teaches you about who you should be who you want to be, all of these things, when in reality, it can be very, very harmful if who you are wanting to be is outside of who God is calling you to be. And that was the case for me. And so fast forward to present day now, where I have a creative arts ministry. It is a faith-based creative ministry called Stars of Heaven, which I also did not come up with that name. But it is just beautiful that the Lord has been with me through every step of the way as I am walking through this new journey. And in this, I've been struggling. I will admit that I've been struggling along the way, especially in the creativity portion. And it felt weird because ever since I was a little girl, I've always been just naturally creative. I've always expressed myself. I've always been involved with the arts. I've always loved doing these things. And so now that the Lord is calling me to lead a ministry that is all about creativity and using our gifts and talents and skills to glorify his name and to encourage other believers and artists to do the same, now I'm struggling with something that seems so natural and so personal to my core. And I'm thinking, like, why is this happening? I'm wondering, why is this happening? And to be quite honest, this wasn't just something that abruptly began, but this was actually something, a creative rut that I had been in for years, even before walking with the Lord, just years of, what am I doing? Why am I now struggling to be creative? Why are all the projects that I'm working on falling through? Why is nothing working out? And what the Lord revealed to me during that time is that during the time where I basically changed my name and decided to go by Marie, I was stepping outside of the will of who God called me to be. And because I idolized this idea, this version of myself, and that is not the person that the Lord was calling me to be. It was an idolized image and version that I kind of just conjured up in my head, that I said, yeah, I'm her. Like, I'm going to be her. That's when I began to struggle. And not only was I in a creative rut, but I also became severely depressed, to the point to where I dropped out of school entirely. And I began to question my purpose of who I was, what was I doing. It also was very, very difficult for me to even be on social media, because I constantly was comparing myself to other people, especially people in the creative industry and creative influencers, and just thinking like, wow, I wish I could do something like that. Like, why am I not good enough? And feeling so intimidated. And the Lord revealed to me that all of that began when I started going by a different name. And looking back now, 5 years later, it's just, I am in shock, because as as the Lord is calling me to do something that just feels so right in my core of this creative ministry, and to wonder, why am I struggling so much, and for the Lord to really just open my eyes and show me that this began years ago when I decided to go by a different name. It blew me away. And it's because whenever we are choosing to go outside of the will of God, we can't shine the way that the Lord wants us to. And so, as the Lord is asking me to shine bright for His name, to shine bright for His glory, and then encourage others to shine, how can I do that if I'm not even being 100% of who He is calling me to be? I am being inauthentic. And that's what the Lord revealed to me, is that for many years I have been living inauthentically, and it's been harming me. Not only to the point, like, I didn't even realize this was happening, but it's been harming me to the point to where I'm questioning my purpose. Even to this day, I've just been thinking, like, I used to be so creative. Why does it feel like this is a challenge and a struggle for me? And this is why, because the enemy snuck a thorn in my side, and I had no idea that it was there this entire time until the Lord finally set me free. And this was a big pull the rug from under me moment, but this wasn't just random and out of the blue. For several years, especially as I got so low to the point to where I basically just told God, hey, I'm going to give you a chance because I've tried everything else and none of it has worked. So, and I mean, like, I tried everything. Like, I was doing tarot, like, I was really into crystals and like all of this other stuff, and just none of it worked. I was just sad and depressed and lost and wondering about my purpose. And that is where the Lord met me in some of my lowest moments. And so, with that being said, the Lord had been speaking to me subtly throughout the years. As I look back, I can see how He was bringing up how I've been living inauthentically, and leading up to the weeks up until He recently pulled the rug from under me. As time got closer and closer, He began to be louder and louder with how He was telling me, until it was having conversations with friends, going to some of my friends like women's ministries, and they're talking about being inauthentic. They're talking about calling your name, but that's not who you are, and this and that. And I knew that the Lord was speaking to me. I knew that He was speaking to me. And every time I would push it under the rug, I would push it under. Even for many years, I thought, something just feels off. Maybe I should just change my mind and just go back to Megan. But there was always that voice telling me, well, you already went from Megan to Marie, and now you want to go back to Megan. Who's going to listen to you? People are going to be confused. You're too far gone. Basically, I just believed that I was too deep in it. I was too far gone, and that there was no way that I was really going to get out of it. So I kept burying that and just pushing it under. But there was a small little voice, and that voice was the Lord. And He was telling me, it's not too late. It's not too late. And what began to happen was the enemy's voice got quieter and quieter and quieter as I grew in relationship with the Lord. And as the enemy's voice got quieter and quieter, the Lord's voice began to be louder and louder and louder until his voice was all I could hear. And then that's when he pulled the rug from under me, because I finally had been listening to him. My heart was surrendered to him. I could understand his will for me because he had been revealing it to me. And so I just praise God because he has set me free. And even just calling myself Megan, it felt like chains and weights were being just released off of me spiritually. Spiritually, I had been in bondage and in chains, and I had no idea. And this is what the Lord means when he says that I come to set you free. He means that he is coming to set you free, even in the ways that you don't think that you are being held back. The Lord sees it all, and he wants to set you free if you let him. So I pray that to those who have watched this video, that this testimony, just hearing me, I pray that it helps you. I pray that the Lord just continues to speak and minister to your soul and spirit. And I'm just so grateful that the Lord just has me where I'm at. And I feel so blessed to just be able to share such a powerful testimony, because now as I move forward, not only am I encouraging believers to be all who they are called to be in Christ, but I have a testimony now to share how I didn't used to be all who God was calling me to be. And I struggled with my identity for years in confusion, and for something as simple as my name, and how it led to all of these failures and disappointments and letdowns and confusion. I've lived through it. And what a blessing it is to now be able to share this with other people who may be struggling in this same realm. So if you're watching this and the Lord is pressing it on your heart, maybe you're going by a nickname. It can be something so slight, and you just feel this constant tug that the Lord is just telling you, hey, that's not who I'm calling you to be. That's not what I want people to call you. I encourage you to listen to that, because that voice may be from the Lord, and he may just be telling you, hey, I have good plans for you, but I need you to submit to me. And that's basically what the Lord told me. So with that being said, I would like to reintroduce myself. So if you don't know me, or if you know me, hi, my name is Megan Marie, and I am so beyond happy and blessed that the Lord has brought me here and has given me the courage to share my testimony. And so if you've known me as Megan, not much has changed. If you've known me as Marie, still not much has changed. The biggest thing is that now I'm just going back to Megan. And not just going back, but I'm becoming the Megan that the Lord is calling me to be. So I thank you guys for listening to me, and I pray that this blesses you. And I just pray that the Lord just continues to shower you with his love and his mercy and his grace. Thank you.